Once again, good evening to you all, and I welcome you all to Microsoft Reactor. My name is Parth, and I am the Event and Program Manager for Microsoft Reactor Bengaluru. Meet my colleague Rashmita and our Senior Cloud Advocate Vivek. Vivek is gonna run today's session. But before we begin, please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We are all here to learn together. So please be respectful of other people's views, understanding of differences, being kind and considerate in a way we all engage. Yes, we do encourage you all to participate, learn together, and please do maintain silence during the session. And I now ask Vivek to take over and let's start building the apps.
So, people can hear me at the back here. People who are online, can you hear me well? Say yes. Thumbs up. Oh, people for online, people who are there online. Okay, good. Cool. So let's get started. Welcome to Microsoft Reactor. And let me start with this slide. People have just joined. This is the event code for you to get access, Wi-Fi access. Okay, so this is the event code. So please make a note of this, or it is written somewhere here. So you can take it later as well while we are doing the workshop. So, how many of you are first time at LearnAtReactor? First time at LearnAtReactor. Wow. Not Reactor, LearnAtReactor. Okay, perfect. People who are online, please let me know. Okay. So what is LearnAtReactor? So we started this event, which is called as LearnAtReactor, because we wanted, uh, for people to come here at Reactor and learn something new. Every time we do this, we have a new topic, and you come in here, and basically you're not just learning, you're actually building it. So you have to build it, you yourself will build it, and we will just give you an introduction to that particular service or that particular technology. And once we give the introduction to that particular technology, you'll go back and build it, and we'll give you some links, probably some links for you to reference, but that is just a reference link, and then you'll just go back and build it. Okay. Perfect. So that is what LearnAtReactor is. So I'll not be doing a lot of things here. You are going to do a lot of things here today. So that is the basic idea. And people who have joined online, this is this is what you will have to also follow, and you will also be building what we are building here, but you're building it from wherever you are from. Okay. So that's the plan. Cool. I just want to introduce myself. I'm Vivek. I'm senior cloud advocate and bunch of experience. Been in as a software developer, been part of the architect. I've been head of DevOps, co-founders, senior developer advocate at DigitalOcean, been in marketing and strategy roles, and this is my second role in Microsoft as well, which is into engineering now, back to engineering. So that's me. If you want to get connected with me, these are the links. So please connect with me if you have, if you have any questions after this session or anything related to any technology which you have questions around. Okay. So what's AI? Okay. That's it. Training the machines, making the machines internet intelligent. So somebody said making the machines intelligent, making an artificial brain. Wow. Anybody from online? You have any answers to this? Yeah. It's very difficult for me to repeat that.
Program that figures out the rules for us instead of we figuring out, we typing out the rules into our code.
Or it figures out its own rules instead of we giving rules. Wow, that's an interesting one. Huh? Sorry? Machine can take its own decision. Perfect. So I've already written there what it is. So, so it's basically any software that imitates human behavior, and it's basically having human capabilities to solve some of the issues, complex problems, right? So that's what artificial intelligence is, and most of us can define it now. Most of us know what artificial intelligence is, so I'll not spend much time there. What is machine learning? So machine learning is basically training a machine to analyze, to predict, and the way human beings actually do it, right? So basically, you go back and predict something. You go back and analyze something, and you build those dashboards out of intelligent dashboards. So that is what machine learning is. Basically, you have some kind of data with you, and you are training somebody with that data, and it's basically machine you're training. It's not somebody. It's machines. The way my daughter learns something, right? My daughter is 3 years old. She learns the similar stuff like, you keep showing her this is a red color, this is blue color, this is this flower, this is that flower, and this is what the vegetables are. That's how she learns, by showing the data or again and again and again. The similar concept you apply to a machine. You provide different set of data and other things. That's what machine learning is all about. So so if you see this slide, there are different type of flowers, different classification of these flowers, and basically you're training it, training the some machine to understand different flowers and classify these flowers, and it does classify whenever you show a new flower to it, right? That is what is machine learning is, and this is what model. This is basically, once you train, it is a model. So you, most of you know, must be familiar with models, right? So the reason why I'm calling out models is because the today's topic is about OpenAI, and it's closely related to the models. So understand what is a model. Basically, you're training something with the data. Once you train it, you're actually deploying that particular model, and then whenever you ask some questions to it, it will reply based on its understanding. So that is what is happening here. There is a data, there is a classification. So whenever you provide some kind of information to it, then it understands what kind of flower it is, and then it classifies. So that is what it is doing, correct? So that is what machine learning is. And a couple of links which is useful if you're a beginner for machine learning. So what is machine learning? What is those algorithms? What are those supervised, unsupervised, reinforcement, and all those things which is there? If you want to learn that, please access this particular link. Go back home and try and see what is there in this link. Okay. Okay. Now there is machine learning algorithms. There are a bunch of algorithms to build those models, right? So one of the model which I was talking about was, how do you classify and other things. But there are a bunch of other models and algorithms which is there. So if you want to learn about algorithms, this is the link. Please use these links. Okay. You took the copy, and this is also available online. This particular session is available online. You can also find it at YouTube Reactor channel. So you can go back and try that as well. But link is here. So very interesting. Um, you need to apply different algorithms for different set of problems you are trying to solve, right? If you see here, there is a recommendation problem, there is clustering, there is regression problems, where if you are trying to solve a couple of problems, or if you are trying to solve some tasks, this is where you're going to apply these algorithms. Okay, so when you are applying these algorithms, um, for separate set of tasks which you are completing, these are the algorithms you will apply. Okay, so this is a simple cheat sheet. So go back and use this cheat sheet to, if you want to go back and try some of the Kaggle problem statements, right? So if you are very interested in solving problems in Kaggle, um, this cheat sheet will help you, and go back and try some of these things there. Okay. Cool. So we did talk about artificial intelligence. We did talk about machine learning. Basically, to have data, and it basically uses this data and for predictions and other things. So what is deep learning? Deep learning is basically it connects with different set of data, and it's neural network. So it is connecting to different set of data, and it also makes its own decisions. So it is also reinforcement learning, right? So basically, it will learn on itself and make decisions. So it will improve on its own to build accuracy. Correct? Got it? So that's what deep learning is. And at a high level, I'm talking about, but in depth, you can go and read what it does and what are things it provides. So today we are more interested in talking about generative AI, which is basically you provide a written something or text or something, and then it completes it. It provides you a visual one or a audio one. It probably creates a new content out of it, right? So that is what generative AI is, and the name suggests generative AI, right? It generates new things. Bueno, got it? So that's what it does. So I'm not going in depth with how it is done, what are those models there, and how they are building those models and all those things, because I want you to go and explore that. So that is what we are going to do today. And I'm going to provide you with all the content and other things. So you have to go back and read that today. And once you're done, probably at the end of this session, we can go through the question and answers. I can ask you some questions, and some people can answer, or some people can come here and answer. So that's what we're going to do. Cool. Um, so traditional development is basically, there are different set of data for solving different set of tasks, right? So basically, if you see this slide, you need um, you know object detection, right? You need detection data for solving something with respect to sentiment. You need a sentiments data, and there are different set of data, and you have different models which will, which algorithms you use and different models you use, and then different tasks you need to solve, right? There are different tasks where you're solving it, and obviously you're deploying these set of things uh, to the cloud. So so basically, if you see this, this is the traditional model. It takes time to do this, and it is very siloed with respect to data itself, right? There is different set of data you're using, which is obviously, which is specific to the task. When you're trying to build a model, you're actually using a specific to the task, right? So if you see this diagram, it is all separate. So now, if you see this, this is the new way forward, which is foundational model. You would have heard about transformer models. So basically, what you are doing is data is very unstructured, right? And it could be for anything. It could be for text. It could be for image. It could be for speech. You're doing 3D signals. So bunch of things which is there, which is unstructured data. You're taking that and training it in a foundational model and transforming that model, and what it can do is it can actually do all kinds of tasks. Got it? So there were tasks in previous slide. There were tasks for classification. There were tasks for object detection. There were tasks for tracking. There were tasks for sentiments, right? So what foundational model does is it takes all these kind of unstructured data, and then it uses algorithm to build that model, which is a new, which is called as foundational model or transformer model, and then you can perform different tasks once you deploy it. So different task is what? Any of these tasks. It could be again object recognition, image caption, sentiment analysis, and all the things, right? So this is what the basic of the foundational model. So I just want to introduce OpenAI because today is about OpenAI. So we learned until now what is artificial intelligence is, what is machine learning is, how actually machine learning is done, and we did learn what was the traditional method, where we were using traditional method to solve the problem, and then what is the way forward. And basically what OpenAI offers to you is basically models. Okay, it's nothing but those models which are available to solve complex problem. Again, it has been trained as part of the solving some of the tasks, and these are the tasks which it solves, which is, if you see GPT-4, it can do anything with respect to all those things, for all the tasks which I mentioned. And GPT 3.5 does a bit, not but with the image. And DALI is more of image, Whisper is more of audio task, and the moderation and embedding is more of search and clustering uh, related tasks, and Codex obviously is for generating code and other things. So basically, the basic funda is only this: there was unstructured data. This, the unstructured data has been put into a model, and it's been trained, and then you can perform any task on top of this. So what they're offering you is model which is being hosted. Only thing you are doing is you're taking your data and accessing these model, and or asking question to these models, and there is a reply you are getting from this model with an accuracy, right? There is an accuracy point as well, right? So that's all. It's not something rocket science. It's the way, the way it is you have data, they trained it, it's training is being done. There is there is access being given to these models, and you can go back and access this model to build applications, right? You can consume these models to build application, right? So that's all it is. Got it? And there are bunch of topics which are involved, a bunch of key concepts which are involved is prompt. So basically, what is prompt? You already know, right? Most of you are using chat GPT, and you've tried Bing chat. You've been doing all these things. Some of them told they are doing assignments with chat GPT, right? So what prompt engineering is, basically you're providing some kind of prompt, and it completes it. The model actually completes it. So if you see this, write a tagline for an ice cream shop. It says, we serve up smiles with every scoop. So it's replying, it's completing the prompt. You're asking a question. Sorry. You're asking a question, and it is actually completing the prompt. So similarly, there are a bunch of prompts which is there, and if you see, you can basically provide in which format you want it to reply. You can say, I want this reply in SQL query. If you see the slide, right, you can ask the prompt to reply it in an SQL query. It is replying it in an SQL query. If you ask the prompt to reply it in a JSON format, it will reply it in a JSON format, right? So basically, you need to know what should be the output of this. You need to ask the right questions to get a right output. Okay, and you need to know which format you want and how you want it. Basically, the way you tell it, it will reply back to you in that format. So that is what is called as prompt engineering. No rocket science, right? Very simple. Correct? Cool. So let me give you some. I haven't put that here. Just give me a minute. Okay. So whenever you start learning something, where do you start? Nobody has answered. You're able to hear me now? Okay, cool. So whenever I start learning something new, I always go to documentation. So sometimes it is good. There are good documentations, there are bad documentations, but this is good documentation. So please go through this documentation. Um, There are a couple of key concepts which we haven't discussed. So we did talk about prompt, and we'll start with quick start, and I'll start with this. So basically, what you see here is there is a prompt which you write, and there is a completion. So completion is a concept in OpenAI. Okay, it's a concept. It's a basically a term used for whatever reply you get out of this prompt. Okay, so don't get confused. Something called as completion. What it is, I don't know. So it's basically you're doing a prompt, and there is a completion which is happening. Okay, got it. So if you see this, it is basically completing the whatever you've asked and as part of the input. Got it. So it's called completions. Okay. So now if you go back here and suggest one name for a horse, right, it will suggest only one name. Got it. So that's how it uses the prompts. And if you see this, suggest one name for black horse, it is basically taking black as one important token. I haven't introduced to you what is a token yet, but that is called tokens. Okay, I'll come back to that. But it does, share details. Now, interestingly, if you see, you wrote, I want three names. You purposefully told you want three names, and it does answer it three names, right? So that's what prompt engineering is. The kind of information you provide, it takes in, builds a token out of it, and once it does a token out of it, it then submit the tokens to the model, and model replies with an answer, and then that reply is basically being captured as an output. Now, interesting, if you see this, suggest three names in this format. You see the format? Okay. Now, if you click on that, so it's basically saying names, comma, something, comma, right? So there is different set of names which is coming, right? So three names it's suggested, but in that format, right? So you provided a format. Suggest three names for an animal that is superhero, cat, and three names, and then dog, three names, and that is the format I want an reply. Horse, three names, and then you open, any I can give any name, any animal's name, and that name is horse is what I've given, but that is what it is. So interesting concept is basically temperature. So I'm just introducing you to a couple of concepts which is there in OpenAI. Okay, so one was prompt, one is completion, one is basically the format in which you want to give, and then there is something called as temperature. Temperature is nothing but how accurate you want, and you want to try new things, then you will give one. If you want it to be you know it to be very accurate, you will give zero. Okay, that's what temperature means, simple. Okay, got it. So now here, if you give, it's in the middle, so it tries to try new names, tries to give you new names. So basically, if I have to show you this, and before I go there, I want to show you, where is, okay, let's understand tokens. I missed this. So what is a token? If you see this, what is a token? Not colors. Yeah, it basically whatever input you give in the prompt, it breaks it into tokens. Okay, so if you see here, it breaks it into tokens, and probably it takes couple of known things, full couple of, maximum is four characters or something. It breaks it into token, and then sends this token to the model, and then process that model. So basically, how many of you use Bing chat? Bing chat, right? So if you go to Bing chat now and if you try something in Bing and you write a big, you know, prompt, it will break that prompt into small token. Have you seen that? It breaks that into a small set of words and keywords. It picks from that and then it submits that to the prompt or submit that to the model, whichever model we are using at the backend. Right? So try that out today. When we are doing the workshop, you can try the Bing chat and try that. Give some prompt to it, and it will break that into a smaller one. So that's what token here it means. And if you see here, right, there is there is a temperature, right? So if it is set to 0, if you say horse are my favorite, it will say horse are my favorite. If temperature is 0, it is always animal. Even if you give 4 times the same prompt, it is always animal. If the temperature is set to 1, it tries something different. It says animal, animals, whatever it is, right? So we can try something. We'll try something. See, you got it. It might it tries something new. What could be the answers? You want samosas? No samosas. Sorry. Anyways, um, so that's what it is. So basically, try it out and see when we are doing the workshop. Try all of these things and see how this works. Cool. So I will not build this application. I'll not show you how to build it and other things because I want you to build it. There is an example. So go back and try it out. I can show you the code if you want to. Right. This is the code. So it's very simple code. I'm using Python. I am OS. I have OpenAI module installed, SDK kind of thing. Modules installed. If you're from Python background, you'll know what it is. And I'm using a Flask. I'm giving OpenAI API. I'm calling a particular how, method root basically. Um, but here is very important. This is the API which I'm using, which is for the OpenAI API, which is, if you see the model, I'm using text density something. So what is that? So this is what I'm using. It's a bunch of models which I mentioned, right? I'm using one of the model which is GPT 3.5 turbo, whatever it is. So I'm using that model to solve the problem, right? So I'm going here and going to the code, and if you see, this is the model I'm using, and this is the this is the prompt I'm using, and this is the temperature. I'm setting 0.6 as a temperature. It's basically 0 to 1 is the temperature, but you can have middle ground so that it can give you different names and other things. Okay, so that is what that is what um, temperature is. And this is, anybody who wants to take a guess what this is? This is the prompt, right? So very simple app. All I'm doing is I'm calling an API, I'm running a prompt. You can actually try different prompt. Like basically, when you build an app, try building for different prompt and show me what you can build. Right? You have 1 hour. Anyways, I'll give you time in 10-15 minutes. I'll give you time. So build whatever you want to build and learn from that. Okay. Cool. So basically, this is this is the prompt which is there, and let's let me go back to, so this is this is clear steps which is there. So this is what we are using, we used, and other things. Most important thing to know about is the pricing. Just go through that pricing because it is for tokens. Okay, so it is for tokens. Pricing is for tokens, so how much tokens you use. Okay, so please have that in mind while you're using these set of tools. Just don't keep sending tokens and pay a lot. Just have that in mind. Understand this part of the documentation pretty well. So let me go back to my slide. I'll not spend much time there. So I want you to spend time today. So that's why I'm pretty fast. So OpenAI and Microsoft, whatever we did talk about, all of these models has been provided as part of the service, which is Azure OpenAI service, right? But couple of things to know. It is basically you can bring in your custom, tunable data. There also you can take it, but here also you can bring in. And there are facilities like storage and other things where you can store your data and use that data with Azure OpenAI. So basically you can bring in your own parameters and your data. Okay, so these are the things which you can do as of now. And this is where it fits in. If you're aware of Azure AI as a whole, there are a bunch of services which we have. At the bottom you can see there is Azure machine learning, which is ML platform. Like you can build your own model. It is basically data science in a box, right? So you can build your own models, deploy your own models, use all the powerful machines to build that, train that, and deploy it and use it. So that is what Azure machine learning is. And then we have a layer called cognitive services. And cognitive services is where the Azure OpenAI sits. It's basically for developers and data scientists to build services on top of, or using these kind of services. If you're building something related to speech, you can use the speech service. If you're building something related to vision, you're going to use these set of service. But then there is one more layer, which is applied AI, where there are specific tasks it solves. So if you see here, there is form recognizers and bot surveys, cognitive search. See, these are very specific tasks. It solves specific tasks. Okay, so that is what it is doing. And then there is the business layer, where now you can find AI builders and Power BI and other things, and then there are applications around it. So again, it is built on these six principles of responsible AI. So there is this is very important. If you're using AI, you have to be responsible, and these are the six principles of it. Anybody who wants to know more about it, reach out to me after the session or in the workshop. I can talk about this. This is the most important part of using AI. Okay, so please go through the principles, understand what are these principles are and how to apply these principles while you're building, and understand what are the tools available today to make sure that your models or whatever you're using as part of an AI is, you can use these kind of tools to make sure it is responsible AI. Okay, so that is something which you need to know. And what does Azure OpenAI service provide to you? So there is OpenAI already. It does provide you models, but what is that on top of that? What is Azure is providing to you? So there are a bunch of things when you deploy something in production, right? So when you deploy something in production, it has to be controlled. It has to be role-based access, because you are deploying an AI, because you are deploying your data, because you are adding something on top of that, which is the model which is there. You're using your model, but on top of that, you're also bringing in your data. I'm going to talk about that little later, but this is what it provides: role-based access. And then it, on the fly, we do provide something called as responsible AI to mitigate some of the harmful prompts which it can harm things, right? So instead of you trying to solve that problem, we try to solve that problem for you. And then obviously bring in your data and train your data and use weights and other things. I'm going to talk about that. And then of course access to Azure related things in virtual network, which is internal to network, right? So that is something which is very important in terms of accessing your data, accessing your models, right? So that is, those are the things which provides. So ultimately, if I have to tell you, there is Azure OpenAI models, which is there. On top of that, you bring in your data, which is nothing but your own structured data, unstructured data, your data, which is operational, transactional, whatever data it is, and then you build prompts on top of that, your own prompts I'm talking about. So until today, you are using the prompts, which is something which it understands. But if you have your own data, how to make the model, whatever the base model which you're going to use, you know, how to make that to understand your own data and your own prompts. Right? That is the most advanced things which you can use with the Azure OpenAI, right? And that is what your prompts mean there. Okay, cool. So this is the, net what we discussed, right? This is a prompt, a simple uh, you know data which is like extracting mail from the address, and this is mailing address is what we are extracting. So basically, this is some text, this is the prompt which you're giving, and basically it takes that as a completion. So this is the completion. So what is completion? You all know, you give in a prompt, it completes something. So it's basically completing this task, and these are the called as tokens. Each of this is a token. It is breaking these things into a token and understanding what the user is expecting, and then it is providing it with the answer and whatever accuracy it can. Correct. So that is what foundational model is. It's been already trained with unstructured data, and it can perform any of those tasks which we mentioned. Right, in the slide we saw there was bunch of tasks, and that is what it is doing here too. So so how, what is the way to take this forward? It's basically, you have to first try, your try your prompts, or try different prompts, and see with the sample data, and refine it, refine, and then you get an output, right? So this is also one of the example. So it is extracting something from this data. You are basically extracting information, summarizing it, and it is also summarizing these, sentiment and other things out of the call conversation which somebody had with the customer. How you can, and you are also asking, extract these information from the prompt. This is very interesting, because you are expecting it to answer in a JSON format. I did mention, whatever format you want the prompt to give, that is what it provides. So you have to be very sure what is the output and what format the output should be. Okay, got it? Everyone there got it? So I have this simple video, but I will not go with this video. I'll show you the demo. Um, Before I go there, let me come back to this. So there is something called as fine tuning. We did talk about it. What is fine tuning? Perfect. So tuning the model with your own data, that is what fine tuning is. So there is a base model already available to you. Okay, and these models does solve certain tasks. Correct. GPT-4 and GPT-3 can solve anything, but there are bunch of other models which will solve specific things. Okay. Understand that concept, and once you understand that, each of these base model can be tuned to your data. So bring in your own data, tune it, right? Train it on your own data with the base model which you have. Most interesting, what? What is that? It's called weights. So uh, when you do the training, how do you make sure that the model understands your prompts, understands what you want, right? Because you have your own data. There is a base model which has been trained common to whatever data OpenAI team has. It is being trained. But on top of that, you're bringing in your data, but you want this data to be used first, right? Because that's what you want, right? That is what we are all doing this work for, right? There is healthcare industry. Maybe the OpenAI is not fully trained for healthcare industry, but there is somebody who is working in healthcare industry. They have their own data. They bring in their data on top of this. But you want this model to use this data, right? And temperature has to be 0 and weight has to be given to your prompts. That's how you can use this. Is called weight concept, and you use that concept. Okay, so let me go back to this slide. Hi everyone. So here is the link to learn about Azure AI and everything. Before I go there, I'll just show you one interesting thing. So I already have, um, you know, Azure AI set for myself. Just give me a minute. Azure portal. Hopefully, I'll log in. Okay. So how to create? Basically, you need to get an access to Azure OpenAI. Okay. So if you don't have access, there will be an access link which I'll also share. I will also share a couple of links for you to go back and try all of these things now. And you should be trying building those apps wherever you want to sit and build. You can do that. Okay. So let me share all resource. So I already have one thing, but create new one. How to create new one once you have access? Just go to cognitive services. Okay, on the top you have Azure OpenAI, and just click on create. Provide it with a name, say Reactor session, pricing standard, next, next. That's it. Once you do that, you'll get this, right? Then you click on explore. When you click on explore, I've already created it because due to time I've just created already, but it will take some time to create. uh, so when you come here, the bunch of things which is there here for you to play around, for you to learn resource and other things. So go back and learn it. um, you need to deploy a model. This is just a studio. This is just a service which you have created, but you need to deploy the model. So you need to deploy which model you want. So create a new model. So if you see this bunch of models, if you know specific task, which task you are trying to solve, and if you know which model is is the one which you need to use, select those models. And there is a bunch of links out there for you to learn about which model to use for which task. I'll give you the link now, so you can go back and read all of those things. But then there are a bunch of things which are here, and you can see very important ones are DaVinci and all those things, which is nothing but the chat GPT, and which is nothing but these GPT-4 and other things, right? So I would go back and say, okay, one model version one, name something. Okay, name something and create. So it would create that model. So similarly, I've already created, but it removed my model. Oh no, it's there. So it's one which I've created. Okay, got it. Because I have ChatGPT Turbo, it didn't show up on that list, correct? Because I already deployed that one. That's why I used different one. But this is what it is. So if you don't know which task you're trying, which one to use these GPT 3.4 and GPT-4, it will solve all the tasks, whichever it says. Okay. Otherwise, be specific to different tasks which you are trying to solve. Okay. So that's what these models are for. The bunch of models getting, new models are coming in, new models are getting. I mean, some of the models are being deprecated, and that it's better to understand what are these models, why it is there, and all this stuff. Cool. So if you go to completions, there is a deployment which I've done. There is an example which you can load. Say, for example, generate a product name idea, and this is the format I'm giving. So this is the format I want, and send generate. This is the product I have, some healthcare product I have, and I'm asking it to generate. So it does generate it to me. So if you notice, there are a bunch of tokens being used. There are a bunch of things here, which is temperature, max length token is max length token, and other things. Bunch of things which are here, which is from the settings perspective. So you can figure that out if you go and click and learn more. Okay, so this is I just wanted to show you a couple of things. There are a couple of models which are available, so you can also read about it. You can also create custom model here. This is what I mentioned. You can create a custom one. So you go for custom model, add your data and train it and review it, and then get this done. So data files are nothing but your own data which is coming in. So data can be uploaded from anywhere, from blob storage to any of those Azure storages which we have. So you can use all of those things. Okay, so uh, I will leave it to you now. So we was like 6:30 now. People who are online, you know, uh, you can also try to build an app and let us know. If you have any questions, please post those questions. There any questions here, by the way? Yeah.
The data we are bringing can be a table like
Yeah.
CSV file.
So you need to. So if you go to this data building for these model fine tuning, the link which I showed you, fine tuning, there is a structure how you need to give the data. There is a structure. Unstructured data works because it's been built through unstructured data. So you can obviously train it.
Is it something we can throw anything at it and it will learn? For example, images, PDFs, Excel sheets. You just keep throwing in anything and it will just do it.
So there is a question here, which is you throw any data to it, will it learn? So if you are using GPT-4 as a base model, if you are using GPT 3.5 Turbo, based on what kind of data you're throwing on top of it, it will learn. So GPT-4 learns images. GPT 3.5 Turbo might not. But if you know, say for example, if it is audio related thing, you would use whisper related models. If it is separate things like the like the moderation model which is there, if you are looking at that, then it is a separate one. So GPT-4, GPT 3.5 Turbo, it can take any data and learn, apart from image, which is the difference. But rest of them, specific data, specific task, right, which you want to solve. So it is specific data. Any question? Oh, Wi-Fi slide. Correct. That's Wi-Fi slide. Until then, any questions? So people who are online, the chat has all the details with respect to the link which is there for you to learn something new and build it. But it is not limited. So basically, you can go back. Oh my god, it's very far. Huh? That's the Wi-Fi.
So, how does this fine tuning part work? Like, let's say I put my data and I do the fine tuning. So that fine-tuned part of the model, is it like local to my deployment, or is it contributed back to OpenAI's?
No, it's local to your deployment.
Okay.
I'll
And
show you how.
how does
I'll show you.
Okay.
So, people who came late, you got the Wi-Fi details. People who came late, you got the Wi-Fi details. Done. Cool. So let me take you to. So see this video. It will have you'll have the clarity.
Hi everyone. Today I want to quickly show you how we are bringing OpenAI's powerful models into the Azure ecosystem to help developers both iterate faster and satisfy their enterprise.
You're not able to hear, no?
requirements. Here you can see the Azure OpenAI Studio,
Just wait.
which we built. Hi everyone.
Why it is not coming there? It is coming. But why this is not coming?
Today I want to quickly show
I'll have to fix that. I'll fix it and play later. Okay? Because we are on the live stream, I don't want to remove everything and start it back. Okay. Anyways, this particular slide has all the details, but it's okay without. You don't need to play video. You can actually see
how
this.
we are bringing OpenAI's powerful models into the Azure ecosystem to help developers both iterate faster and satisfy their enterprise requirements. Here you can see the Azure OpenAI Studio, which we built to help all skill levels prototype their ideas and bring their creativity to life.
So you can just see
With our
it.
Studio
Nothing
UI
to,
and
no
the
need to
flexible
hear
models
it.
from
We'll
OpenAI,
play
you
it
can
again.
iterate up different use cases with the same models in UI. For example, here I'm going to ask the model to extract information from an email by including both the email and my question written in natural English. Or I'm going to ask the same model to convert a paragraph description of fruits on an imaginary planet into a structured tabular format. In my third example, we'll use the same model again to classify news articles. Finally, we'll use a different model, our codex models, to generate documentation on the provided Python function, but still within the same UI. Once developers progress further in their journey, they can easily transition from this prototyping to fine-tuning and customizing their models all within the UI. Finally, when developers are ready to move towards a production application, they can leverage some of the more unique aspects of the Azure service compared to OpenAI's. We provide key enterprise promises with network security, privacy, and responsible AI tooling. For example, we enable authentication through Azure Active Directory so customers can securely access their fine-tuned models.
So it's done. So that's how you have the data. You can see the validation and other things, right?
Like, is any part of my data,
Not no
contributed back to-
it won't.
Right.
So it's your data. So it's been trained for your own Azure service, which is your own subscription, and its data is sitting with you only. So training happens here only. So it's very similar to our Azure ML, model, right? So basically we won't be using your models because you are building your own model, your own data, you have your own access to it. So Microsoft or anybody will not be able to access it because it's in within your own network. Okay. So where did it go? Okay, now people who are here in person, go back and explore OpenAI. If you have access to Azure OpenAI, you can go back and explore Azure OpenAI. If you don't have access to Azure OpenAI, you have access to Bing, you have access to, um, you know, the OpenAI, right? So go back and use it. Try and build an app. There is an example app which is there. I did show you those things. This is what the app is, right? So
First one.
um, so where is my app? So this is the app which is there as an example. You can actually go back and try different one. You can say whatever black dog or whatever it is and generate a new one. It gives you a new name. It's always giving the same name, is it? Nice. Oh, okay, now it's changed. So basically I've given 0.6 as the temperature. That is the reason sometimes it will repeat those answers. But if you give temperature 1, it basically keeps trying new names. Okay, so play around with all of these things. Now it is your time. So I learn it reactor is for you to build it. So that's why I was really little fast to make sure that you understand a little bit of concept what we are doing today and other things. But then Parth actually brought something. People who build first 10, right? 1 2 3 yeah, first 10 apps we're going to get a swag. New app. I don't want you to build the same app which is there, which I'm just giving you it, right? Build something new with new prompt. Okay, got it? People who have laptops, try it. People who are online, you know, here is a link for you to go back and read stuff and build stuff for us, and let us know as well once you build it. Let us know on Twitter, let us know on different place, what did you build, and we are happy to uh, answer questions as well. If you have questions, please we ask it in the chat. We are happy to answer, but then we will wait for some time for you to ask questions. This is the link which is there for you to go back and learn as well. You are not brought laptop? Yeah. Cool. Yes, you need to get an access to Azure OpenAI service. If you don't have an access to that, it's okay. You have access to OpenAI. Create an account in OpenAI. Use OpenAI Playground. There's an interesting playground there. Just go and see. Very interesting one. I didn't show you this, but um, so where is that? So we did this right. Create. We did ask it to generate some product name, right? So it is basically it created something. It showed you some of these answers, right? Now you go back and click on this view code. Basically, code is available to you, right? So similarly, if you go to probably even in playground in OpenAI, right? So the same thing, write a tagline for an ice cream shop, right? So it does provide me a good one, right? So now I can also go back and see view code. I can see my code here as well. Got it? So you can actually build an app. You can build any app, right? So the code is there. All you need to do is to take this, build an app, done. You have the code, you have the prompt, you have the answers, everything, right? You should be able to build an app in next 1 hour. How many of you are confident that you're going to build an app in 1 hour? How many of you are confident? Again, I'm asking, how many of you are confident? Nobody is confident. Huh? 10 people, 5, 15, 16, 17. Okay. For people who are online, if you don't have any questions, uh, this is a link. You please take this link and build something and let us know on Twitter, on LinkedIn. Let us know what did you build. Share with us. If you don't have any questions, we will be closing the online link. Okay. And this is the link which you need to really look into because it has all the concepts, it has everything, it has access to Azure OpenAI, so you can request for an Azure OpenAI. It has understanding of what you need to understand from prompts, what you need to understand from tokens. Okay, got it. This is for online people. So we'll wait for 5 to 10 more minutes. If you have questions, ask. Otherwise, we are there.
Excuse me, one.
Yep.
Like you explained the temperature, there's this other thing on top. Could you go back on your Azure screen?
You want this one?
Yes. So like the temperature is like the random.
How?
So
It's
the
not.
top P,
It's a basically, if you read this, it's basically repetition. So it's very similar to temperature. So it's if you read, it's basically about randomness, and uh, again, it is adjusting to the temperature which you have provided. So probability of how much you want. So there are some science behind it. So it's very similar to temperature. Either one of the thing which you need to adjust. This is basically useful when you have your weights, when you have your own data, and when you have your weights set. So now which probability you want to use? That's where the toggling will happen, right? So that's what it is. Read about it here. It is there. If you go to learn more, you can read more about it. This is where the prompt designing comes, troubleshooting and classification. A lot of things are there, so you can read through this documentation. So there is a question in online. um, can I get into the playground? Yes, you can. Now if you have OpenAI access, playground is there for free. Just go and use the playground. There are limited number of tokens, you can use it. There is a question from somebody, uh, Patsy. So basically is asking, um, subscription is asking for that you don't have access. There is limited access for that. Subscription is limited access as of today. Azure OpenAI access is limited, so if you need to apply for it and then you'll get it. It does take 3 business days to get you an access. So if you don't have an access, don't worry. Use OpenAI, use OpenAI access, and build an app, right? So that's what we are doing here. So people who have joined online, please make sure to build an app and share the details with us. And yeah, if you have any questions, just keep posting in the chat. I'll be answering it. We'll wait for 10 more minutes for people who have joined online. Um, you can keep building and then share those details. People here, please make sure you start with the app building and close the doors. You're not going home. How many of you have got through the OpenAI access? Got it? Building apps? Don't use the same app which is there. Build something new. Go to playground, type some prompt which you are looking for. You have the code. Use that code. Build an app. So people, first 10 people who build an app, please raise your hands. You want to get this. You finished? You have a question? I thought I was scared. Like, I just announced and you finished. Huh. I'll come. Just give it 10 minutes. Once we close the online, I'll come. So there is a question, isn't it a paid service? Yes, it is paid service. It's going to be paid service because it's highly trained models at the back end, a lot of data being used. So that is why it is a tokenized. So it is charged for the tokens. So if fine tuning is going to be paid, but I don't know how to provide a free. Uh, Hopefully, this is going to be a free one of the free services which we are going to add in our Azure free trial. As of now, it is a limited access. That's why it is not under the free trial, but it is going to be soon or something where you can go back and use it. But I'm not sure. Right? It's not going to be free for, at least for some tokens, it might be free. Right? So people who are here, if you have any questions, I'll come there. Just give us 10 more minutes for people from online, let them ask the questions. So once they have completed, once we have closed this session, I'll come down to everyone. Okay. So there is a question online. So the question is, what is the advantage of using Azure OpenAI? So OpenAI provides you models. Azure OpenAI also deploys those models. The only difference is it provides you with integrations with Azure products, integrations with role-based access to your models, because everybody should not be able to access these models. Whenever you deploy something, everybody in the team is accessing. You know what happens, right? So if you're if you are even in DevOps, right, everybody is accessing your production. You know what happens, right? So this is very similar concept. So there is a role-based access. There is the same kind of models being pre-trained, integrations to Azure products, and then virtual network, which is basically network access as well. You can deploy these models within the specific network. So that is one of the advantage. The other advantage is basically you can bring in data and train your model. Got it? You can bring in your data and train that model. The data can be hosted on blob storage, Azure storage. You can use virtual network of Azure to connect to that data. Got it? So that's what Azure OpenAI provides to you. And yeah, so that's the difference between using simple OpenAI versus Azure OpenAI. Got it? Got it? So people who don't have laptops, do not disturb others. Okay. So uh, go to this learn module and try and read and complete this learn module. If you don't have a laptop, you can understand the concept better as well if you read this, and then share that knowledge to the person who is working on the laptop, right? So that will be a very good use of community based learning, right? So let's do that. So anyone completed? Swag is here. Anyone? Parth wants the swag. Okay. So people who have joined online, let us know what you built. You can tag us at Microsoft Reactor and share your uh, whatever things which you have learned, or whatever you have built. Just share it with us with the screenshots and other things. Uh, that will be helpful. There is a question, the in the online, what is prompting? So very simple, whatever you provide as an input is called prompting, and whatever is the output is called completions. Okay, that's the answer. You have a question? I'll come to you. I'll finish off the online questions first, and then I'll come to everyone. Okay. So there is a question online which is on, are there any limits to amount of data that can be used in Azure OpenAI? This is from Vipul. Um, so basically, there is no limit because your data is sitting on any of the storage, and you are using it for validating. I mean, um, building the model. So basically, you are training the model using your data. The thing about this is, you know uh, the training will take time because you have large data. The training will take time, so that is the something which you need to keep in mind. uh, so yes, do you need to pay for using the GPTs? You need to pay for it. There is a token limitation, and for free accounts there are a couple of things, but you need to pay. I am paying, by the way. I did a demo for you. I paid for that. Okay, I used that prompt twice actually, so I'm going to pay for it. So
How are we going to create the app without the
it's not going to be that. You have to pay for it. You can create a new account and there is a $5 free. That's the catch. I'll answer to you. I'll come back. Cool. So, people who are online, please make sure that you share whatever you have learned, whatever you have built in our, Twitter. There are a bunch of people here. We have around 200 people. You know that? We are 200 people sitting here in this room, so it's great. It's good to see. And for people who are online, please go ahead, complete these learn modules, go back and share what you have been learning and what you built. Um, it will be helpful. Thank you for joining us as well. Um, Thank you very much. Not for you folks. I'm coming back. There's still bottles to be given. Doors are closed. You still have to show me the app. This is for the folks who are online. Okay. So thank you very much. So we are closing this session here, but let us know if you have any questions, reach out to us on Twitter, on LinkedIn.